Hello and welcome to the Dream Team Professor podcast. My name is Scott, and in this episode we are going to be looking at the top players to target in game week 14 on Sun Dream Team. Now, as always, we're going to start off with the fixture ticker from ffstuff.co.uk. I've got everyone on the screen at the moment if you're watching on YouTube, and it's between game week 14 and game week 17 that we're going to be looking at, taking us all the way through till the Boxing Day fixtures, I think that is. So we start off with game week 14. So we've got a Premier League double this week. All of the Premier League teams will have 2 fixtures. And then in game week 15, we have the final round of European football. I think this is going to be a little bit of a dead week when it comes to European football, because we've got quite a lot of teams that are already through. There'll be quite a lot of rotation, but you still have got Man United and Newcastle, for example, that have still got it all to play for. Game week 16, we've got a Premier League round of fixtures, and then we have the quarter-finals of the Carabao Cup. And in game week 17, we have another Premier League double, but that's minus Manchester City and Brentford. That game's been put back because Manchester City are in the Club World Cup. And Palace play Brighton. I think that's been put back to the following week, so they won't be playing a double in game week 17. But when it comes to fixture volume, so on the left-hand side of ffstuff.co.uk, you've got, we can move the arrows along the top, and then along the side, it will tell you how many fixtures they have in a period of time. The team with the most fixtures in this period of time is 8 fixtures, which is a double game week in all 4 of these weeks. That is Liverpool, Newcastle, West Ham, and that's it. Liverpool, Newcastle, West Ham. So that's Premier League, you've got European football and EFL Cup. So 4 weeks of double game weeks for those 3 teams. Then teams with 7 fixtures. We've got Manchester United, Arsenal, Aston Villa. We've got Chelsea, Brighton, Fulham and Everton. Now that's teams that will play in the Premier League plus either European football or the EFL Cup. As you can see, you've got Chelsea there, you've got Fulham there and Everton as well. And then teams with 6 fixtures. We've got Manchester City, mentioned there in the Club World Cup. So if you're looking at the ticker on screen on YouTube at the minute, in game week 16, they just have a single. And in game week 17, they have a single as well. So they play the first round of Premier League games in game week 16. They've got a bit of a gap. And then they play the second fixture in game week 17 against Everton. So just the 6 fixtures for Manchester City. Something to pay attention to. If you were looking to target them, you might have a few less fixtures than some of the other teams. Spurs have 6 fixtures, obviously because they're not in Europe and they were knocked out of the Cup. And all other Premier League teams, really, apart from Brentford, just play the 6 fixtures. Brentford have 5 fixtures because of that rearranged game with Manchester City. And obviously they're not in the Cup either. So just the 5 fixtures for Brentford. If you were looking to target an Mbuemo, for example, they've got some good fixtures this week. Luton and Brighton, followed by Sheffield United next week. So if you were looking to target those games, just something to be aware of. They do start to have a few less fixtures after that. Longer term, so game week 14 to game week 17. I've ranked them in no scientific order, just order of how I like them, to be honest. So Liverpool, I think they've got great fixtures in the short term, and they start to get a little bit tougher. So looking at Liverpool, Fulham at home, Sheffield United away. That's a really, really good double game week, and we'll be mentioning quite a lot about them. They're very popular for people that are looking to play the Park the Bus chip, which seems like it's going to be popular, booster. Seems like it's going to be popular this week. But also they're scoring a ton of goals. So Salah, Darwin, Diaz. They've got quite a few options. Even Gakpo last night done really well. So looking good in attack and defence. So Fulham, Sheffield United, and then it's Crystal Palace, Union Saint-Gilloise in game week 15. I think it's job done now in Europe for them. So probably quite a lot of rotation in Europe. But then in game week 16 and 17, it starts to get a little bit harder. So we've got Manchester United at home. We've got West Ham at home in the Carabao Cup in game week 16, and in game week 17 we've got Arsenal at home followed by Burnley away. So although they've got Man United, West Ham, Arsenal, they are all at home, and Liverpool's home form has been so good. So maybe not a massive concern, but it does get a little bit tougher. Arsenal then, I'm going to go for them as the second best fixtures, And again, they do start to turn a little bit tougher. We've had some good fixtures recently for Arsenal, and this double game week looks really good as well. Another team that's going to be very popular for the Part the Bus booster. But again, the attacking players are really starting to click now. So Wolves at home, Luton away this week. I'll be at that Wolves game, looking forward to that one, but it's going to be a cold one. Aston Villa away, PSV away. So game week 14 looks really, really good. Game week 15, Villa away, PSV away. Now, I think we've won the group now in the Champions League. So again, there probably will be quite a lot of rotation in that PSV game. And it's sandwiched between Villa away and Brighton at home. So expect quite a lot of rotation in that one. We had quite a few youngsters on the bench in that last game. I do think we'll rotate fairly heavily there. So 14 looks good. 15 is a little bit tougher with Villa away, PSV away. Just the single, because we're out of the Carabao Cup against Brighton in game week 16, but Brighton are conceding quite a lot of goals, and it's a home game. And in game week 17, away at Liverpool and home to West Ham. So game week 17 looking pretty tough as well. But overall, I still say this is pretty good fixtures for Arsenal. And then I put City in third. Obviously, great team, doing really well at the minute. I think they've been on an unbeaten run since we beat them, but they do have less fixtures, which is why I've dropped them down the list a little bit. They've got Tottenham at home and Villa away this week, so tough fixtures, but both of those teams are conceding goals. Game week 15 looks brilliant. Luton away from home, and then Red Star Belgrade away from home in Europe. But again, job done in Europe for them. Crystal Palace at home in game week 16. Then we've got the gap of 2 games where other teams could be playing. For example, Liverpool in that period of time will have a Carabao Cup game and a Premier League game, while City are away in the Club World Cup, which does not count for points. And then they followed that up with an away game against Everton. So I'm going to drop them down to the third best fixtures. West Ham looks good the whole way through till game week 16-17. So West Ham have got Crystal Palace at home, Tottenham away, Fulham away, Freiburg at home, Wolves at home. Then it gets a little bit tougher from the back end of 16. Liverpool away in the Carabao Cup, Man United at home in the Premier League, and then Arsenal away in the Premier League. So through to about 16, it does look good. And they do have the volume there. 8 fixtures in this period of time, double game weeks the whole way through. Newcastle, it's a little bit tough, but they are still doing fairly well. They put in a really good performance against PSG and were quite unlucky to have that penalty given against them. But they've got Man United at home, which on paper's a tough fixture, but they're brilliant at home, and Man United have got a lot of trouble at the minute. Everton away from home. Both of them clubs have just conceded 3 goals as well. Spurs away. AC Milan at home, which is going to be a massive clash in the Champions League. Still all to play for in that one. So if you do go for maybe Man United players or Newcastle players, they still have got it to play for in the Champions League. Then they've got Fulham at home, Chelsea away in the Carabao Cup, Luton away, and Forest at home. So quite a mixed bag there. Some good fixtures to target, I'd say, still. And their home form is still really good. And then I'm just going to throw in Chelsea and Villa there. It looks pretty okay from about 16. It starts to turn in their favour. Villa have got short-term difficult games. You've got City at home, Arsenal at home coming up, Brentford away, Bournemouth away, but then Sheffield United at home in game week 17 looks quite good to target, and you've got Man United away in 17 also. Chelsea, lastly, Brighton at home, which a tough game on paper. Man United away, tough game on paper, but both of these teams are conceding goals. You've then got Everton away, Sheffield United at home, Newcastle in the Cup, Wolves away, and Palace away. So that could be the period of time to go over to the Chelsea players. And then lastly, Man United, it's looking pretty tough now. Newcastle away, Chelsea at home, Bournemouth at home looks okay, but then they've got Bayern at home in the Champions League, Liverpool away, West Ham away, and Villa at home. So quite a lot of tough fixtures coming up for Man United. On FF Stuff, you can tick the teams that you want to see if you want to condense the fixture ticker. I've done that here, so I've narrowed it down to City, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Newcastle, Villa, Chelsea, Brighton, Spurs, and West Ham. And these are the teams that I'm mostly going to cover in this episode. Best game week 14 fixtures. So just this game week, like I said, Arsenal and Liverpool are going to be hugely popular for this part of the bus chip. but also for attacking players because these fixtures are really, really good for them. So Arsenal have got Wolves at home, Luton away. Liverpool have got Fulham at home, Sheffield United away. I think these are going to be very popular for attack. But also, if you are playing that part of the bus booster, you can build a pretty good 5 at the back from these two teams. Also, 12th man. I mean, if you're not playing the part of the bus booster, I think for the same logic, you could play a 12th man chip. Obviously, for Arsenal, if you've got Saka, you've got Ødegaard, you've got Martinelli, and even Gabriel Jesus done really well in midweek. He's looking good since he's been back. And then for Liverpool as well, most people are going to have Salah in their team. But Darwin Núñez has looked okay recently. He's scoring fairly well. Diaz is back and he scored yesterday. Like I mentioned, Gakpo, not one for me really, but he hit some good form last night. Or even if you just wanted a 12th man in one of these defenders that you can't get to cover, like a Trent, that could also be an option. Max captain's one that I'm not so sure on, to be honest with you. But, I mean, if you're struggling to decide between a Haaland or a Salah maybe, Haaland's got Spurs and Villa, which, while on paper they look tough, both teams play a high line and they could be high-scoring games for Manchester City. And Salah, for the same reason I've mentioned, these Liverpool fixtures look really good. So it could make the decision a bit easier for you. Haaland was not far off being the best captain pick this week, but Foden did pretty well. I think he outscored him by a couple of points. But yeah, it could be the difference, but it's not one that I'm looking at the moment. So in terms of fixtures, City, I still think the attack looks really good, but I don't think I'd be targeting defenders for Spurs at home and Villa away. They do keep conceding. I think Newcastle look good for attack and defence this week, actually. So Newcastle have got Man United at home. Man United have just conceded 3 goals against Galatasaray in the Champions League. And then Everton, away from home at Everton. Man United have just scored 3 goals past Everton, and I'd say Newcastle probably have a better attack than Man United at the minute. So I do think Newcastle's fixtures look okay. Villa's attack does look good, but we've just had news that Ollie Watkins has apparently picked up a knock, but I don't know how serious that is. But they are still a really, really good side, Bournemouth and Manchester City. Chelsea's attack, maybe. Brighton and Man United both conceding goals, so they could be ones to target. And then West Ham's attack. We don't know whether or not Bowen's back yet, but they are still scoring goals. Crystal Palace at home and Spurs away from home. Spurs, Brighton, United, I think are all a little bit questionable just because of their form at the minute. Right, let's go on to my team, Arsenal. So I'm going to break down the top players to target from each of these. So Arsenal, like I said, 7 fixtures, no EFL Cup. But they do look good. Wolves, Luton, Villa, PSV, Brighton, Liverpool and West Ham. Results this week were 1-0 against Brentford and 6-0 against Lens. 4 wins in a row and just 1 goal conceded. 3 clean sheets in 4. So defensively, Arsenal are looking like one of the best, if not the best, defence to target. But I'm going to start with attack. So Saka, 6.5 million. Got 17 points for the game week. A goal and 2 assists. And he just moved... At time of writing this, he'd moved ahead of Salah, but actually Salah done pretty well last night, and I think they're now level on points, both with 147 points. So Saka is joint second at the moment overall. He's got 7 goals, 11 assists, and he's averaging 8.2 points per game. Absolutely brilliant, Saka. I've seen a few debates online. Has he really been all that? His numbers are apparently down when you look into the deep stats, but I think it's a bit blurred because he's getting so many attacking returns in Europe. So for a game like Dream Team, or if you're an Arsenal fan, you are not concerned in the slightest about how Saka's getting on this season. 7 goals, 11 assists. He's been absolutely brilliant. I think his numbers are down in the Premier League specifically, which is why I was seeing quite a few threads and tweets and all that stuff about how Saka's numbers are down and he's not looking as good. But he's just getting doubled up on every game. He's getting chopped every game. And it's because he's our best player and he's a world-class player in my opinion. So obviously he doesn't get as much action because people are trying to mark him out of the game, but he still keeps coming up with all these attacking returns. Obviously that assist in the Brentford game and then a goal and an assist against Lens. So 17 points. I think you've got to have Saka in your team for these two games. And like I said in the last episode, I like a pairing of Saka with a side of Martinelli or Ødegaard at the minute. Maybe even Gabriel Jesus, but Martinelli and Ødegaard I think are the better options. Martinelli's 4.5 million. I brought him in this week and he's repaid me with, what was it? We've got 11 points against Lens. Just the 1 point against Brentford. I did get a bit worried after that Brentford game, but done well in that Lens game. We got a goal and an assist in that Lens one and looked really, really good. One thing that was a bit strange that we've been talking about in the Dream Team Tonic Discord chat is that there was actually no bonus points given in this Lens game. Now, I'm not sure if that was a mistake. I've not worked it out, but it just looks a little bit odd there. Quite a lot of big scores, but no bonus points. But Martinelli, back onto him. So 3 goals, 4 assists in total. He's missed 5 games earlier in the season, so I think he probably would be higher up in the overall points. But I just think he's having a really, really good season. And if you pair him with Saka, I think that's a good pairing as well, because so many people are doubling up on Saka on that right-hand side. I think Martinelli is getting a lot more of the action. So I do think that Martinelli is still a very good player to target, and he's pretty nailed for most games in general. Ødegaard 4.9. I don't think there's much between the two of them. Ødegaard's got 11 points this game week as well. 11 points against Lens. I think he blanked also in that Brentford game. I think he's the more expensive option than Martinelli, but both of them are going to play the bulk of games. And with Ødegaard, we've got Fabio Vieira's injured at the minute. Kai Havertz, although he's now scored in back-to-back games, he is on 4 yellow cards, so eventually he's going to get his suspension as well, which means Ødegaard has pretty much got that sort of right 8 position to himself, so he'll be safe for rotation. I expect him to play twice a week. Maybe he gets a rest in the PSV game. Now that's a dead game, but 6 goals, 3 assists for him so far this season. And I just wanted to bring up last season's goals and assists for both these players because they do have previous. Both of them had 15 goals and 7 assists last season. So we can trust with both of these players that they know where the back of the net is and they know how to get these Dream Team points. Gabriel Jesus at 5.2 million. So I think that still seems a bit pricey when we've got Watkins, Darwin, Son, even now we're running into a period of time when there's no Europe, and when you can get the above like Ødegaard and Martinelli for quite a bit cheaper, I still think I would rather just pack the midfield with the Arsenal midfielders and get the attackers elsewhere. But he still has done pretty well this week. 11 points. Started both of them as well, but only played 66 minutes in the Brentford game. Got 4 points there. And then 82 minutes in the Lens game, 11 points. So a really good week for him. But I just think the midfielders are a bit more appealing. On to defence. Now, this is one of the questions that I've had the most this week because a lot of people are wanting Liverpool and Arsenal defenders. The defence has got 3 clean sheets in 4. The least amount of goals conceded in the Premier League. And I'm going to go through all of them because they're all fairly good options, but this is how I would currently rank them. So I'd put Saliba up there in first. If I was going to play the part of the bus, I'd put Saliba would be my priority. It would then be Gabriel. And then I think at the moment it's pretty close between Zinchenko, Ben White and Tomiyasu. I don't think that you can guarantee that any of those 3, Zinchenko, White or Tomiyasu, will definitely get 2 games at this point. I think it's guesswork. I think Saliba and Gabriel have got a really good chance. I think Gabriel could get a mention potentially, but I'd go Saliba, Gabriel, and then I don't think there's much to split White, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu. Typically it would be Ben White. I would have said Saliba and Ben White were the most now to play, but since Ben White got that injury pre-international break, he's come back and I think he's had 2 substitute appearances now. I thought that we might have seen him get 90 minutes in the Champions League to sort of prove his fitness, but we don't know. He could have been saved for this double game week, but I just think Tomiyasu and Zinchenko are looking very good as a pairing at the minute. I think those 3 are going to get rotated. with Saliba and Gabriel probably playing the most minutes. So Saliba, second highest scoring defender, 5.3 points per game and 96 points in total. Gabriel, 4.1 million. Like I said, he might have a chance of being benched, but I just think you have to take that chance because it is so hard to call at the minute between these. I think it will be hard to predict the back four for both of these games. So possible chance of benching, but I think he's probably the second safest pick behind Saliba. Ben White, 4.4 million. Now, if he does return to full fitness, he is a really, really good option to have. And if he starts both, then he still is not a good option to have. But I think it now is a little bit risky, seeing as he did just get that appearance off the bench in midweek. Came on in the 93rd minute against Brentford, which I think was a little bit strange. Ben White came on in the 93rd minute of that Brentford game just to see the game out. And then in the second game against Lons, he came on at half-time for Tomiyasu. So it is a tough one. He got minutes in the Lons game. I'm just not that confident now that he definitely does start. After that, you've got Zinchenko, so 3.5 million. 74 points. He's doing all right. He's caught up the last few weeks. He's had some really good weeks. Really unlucky with him in that Lons game. So obviously he got the clean sheet in the Brentford game. 1 bonus point. Had a really good game in that one. Started the Lons game, but came off in the 45th minute. So under the new Dream Team rules, did not get the clean sheet points. The same with Tomiyasu, actually subbed off in that one, didn't get the clean sheet points, but Tomiyasu got 2 assists in that Lons game, had a really, really good performance. So Tomiyasu's 2.3 million. If you do think you're struggling for budget when you're playing it, I wouldn't particularly want to put Tomiyasu in, but I do still think he will get a good chunk of minutes, probably at least 1 start in this double game week. But yeah, Saliba, Gabriel, in my opinion, and then I don't think it's very easy to call the rest of them after that. On to Liverpool. So 8 fixtures for Liverpool in all comps still. So Fulham, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, Union Saint-Gilloise, Man United, West Ham, Arsenal and Burnley away from home. Good results this week. So obviously scored 4 in the game yesterday and kept the clean sheet in the Europa League. Started fairly strong as well. And then the 1-1 against Manchester City in last weekend. So Salah got an assist in that game against Manchester City, and he started in the Europa League game, scoring a penalty and getting an assist in that one. So 15 points for the game week for Salah, 6.7 million. I do still think he's going to be in a lot of teams for game week 14. If you are dropping down a striker, I would not recommend it being Salah to play your part of the bus chip. He's on fire at the minute, and I do expect him to do really well this week. Big argument for captaincy as well, with Fulham at home, Sheffield United away. I'm leaning towards captain Salah myself. 147 points, tied with Saka, second overall, 12 goals and 5 assists. I don't think we need to say much more than that. I think Haaland and Salah are a mainstay in most teams at this point. Darwin Núñez, 4.5 million. So he didn't start the Europa League game. I wonder if he might be saved or being saved for this double game week. Fulham at home, Sheffield United away. Actually a fairly quiet week for him, so if you are bringing him in, it's a little bit annoying because I think he's got back-to-back 2 pointers, or definitely back-to-back blanks. Darwin Núñez, 4 points for the game week, 2 2-pointers, so 2 points against City, had a shot on target but got a yellow, and just 34 minutes yesterday in Europe. So I still think it's probably worth sucking up the price decrease, because he's got 7 goals, 8 assists so far, and he just seems to score fairly well with shots on target. Obviously he's got a fair chunk of attacking returns there. I just think if he's starting striker for either or both of these games, I still think he's going to be a very, very good option. Jota's now injured as well, picked up an injury in that Man City game, so I do think it does mean that Núñez is going to get more minutes. The only thing that has put a little bit of doubt in my mind about Núñez is that Gakpo scored 2 goals and got an assist in Europa League yesterday, 17 points, had a really, really good performance. So there is a chance that if Darwin starts, Gakpo will probably get minutes in both of these games. Worst case scenario, you bring Núñez in and Gakpo ends up starting one of them, maybe the Sheffield United game. But I'm fairly confident that Núñez should start too. It's just whether or not he plays 90 minutes in both, in my opinion. Diaz is an exciting one at 3.6. Another one that's probably going to benefit from the Jota injury, probably a little bit more, playing off that left-hand side. Got a start and a goal in the Europa League. And an early sub, so again he's probably being saved for that Premier League double. 7 points in this one with his goal, headed goal. That one looked pretty decent. He's only on 4 goals, 2 assists for the season, but he's had a few injury problems and some personal problems as well. But I'd expect it to be Salah, Darwin and Diaz. So if you are not playing the part of the bus chip, I do still think that it could be a good option to load up on these Arsenal midfielders or attackers and these Liverpool midfielders and attackers. Maybe if you end up having a double Arsenal attacking assets and double Liverpool, I still think that could be just as deadly as having the back line as well. Obviously, you just don't get double points, so not as good, but I think attack could end up being the best form of defence. And then coming on to defence, playing the part of the bus, I'm going to do the same thing as I did with Arsenal, rank them in terms of how I'd like to have them from Liverpool. And I think there's only 3 that I'd be interested in from Liverpool in the defence. Trent, obviously, the standout at 5.5, 13 points for the game week. Got a 10-pointer against City, scored a really good goal in that one. And he just came off the bench in this Europa League game. Just got the 3 points, but still got an assist in that game. 1 goal, 4 assists for the season, and now he's crept up to the 3rd highest scoring defender behind Trippier and Saliba. So a really, really good option. And with these double points, if you are playing the booster, if he doesn't keep the clean sheet, I think he's probably got the best chance of getting an attack in return. So a really good option. I'm still not convinced that he's worth 5.5 million. I might be wrong, but I'm not that interested in getting Trent in my team at the minute while not playing part of the bus. I just think I can use that money better elsewhere to load up my attacking players. I looked at it a little while ago, not including yesterday's games, but I think there was might have been only 2 or 3 defenders in like the top 20 players as well. So midfielders and attackers are the ones that are getting a lot of points. So it is a big investment, 5.5 million. But if I was playing part of the bus, I would definitely have him in. Then I'd go Virgil van Dijk, 3.9 million. Hasn't been playing the Europa League games very much. But in these Premier League doubles, you've got in 14 Fulham and Sheffield United. And in 17, you've got Arsenal, Burnley. He will be getting a ton of minutes in these double game weeks. The only one in 15, he won't be risked for that. And 16 quarterfinals, they're getting close. He might be risked for that. But they have got a few options elsewhere. But for part of the bus, double game week in the Premier League, I'd go for Virgil van Dijk, Trent, then Virgil. And then third, I'll go Tsimikas, 3.3. He's in my team currently, and I think he's very good value for money still. 10 points this game week, 2 starts. Clean sheet in Europa, and I still think he's worth either keeping in your team or bringing him in specifically still. I think we've got a few weeks still till Robertson is back, so I think he's still going to keep getting minutes, and he probably is going to get a price rise again. Seems to be building up some budget with Tsimikas at the minute, so I still think he's a good pick. They're the 3 I'd go for. I just can't decide. I think I'd probably go 2 Liverpool, 3 Arsenal. But I think either is good. Good luck to the part of the buses. Kelleher, 1.8 million, budget goalkeeper. Now, I really like this option. 8 points in the Europa League, which means that if you do decide to bring Kelleher at 1.8 million into your team, he should rise. I think he's due to get about roughly 2 game weeks. The initial rumour was 5 weeks, which would have been perfect. But I think the quote said, Ali is a bit lesser than Jota, so we have to see, not day by day. He cannot play tomorrow, which was before the Europa game, or Sunday, probably not the week after. should be kind of okay after that. So I think they're talking about he should be alright for game week 14, Fulham and Sheffield United. He should be okay for Crystal Palace, and he would play the Carabao Cup, the Europa anyway. But then game week 16, Man United at home, I think that could be the one that Alisson's targeted return date is back for. So I think if you can get Fulham, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace and Union Saint-Gilloise out of a 1.8 Liverpool goalkeeper with one of the better defences, I still think that's a really, really good pick. And it gives you a bit of budget to use elsewhere. So I really like that. I'm on Johnston at the minute, and I definitely am considering Kelleher at 1.8. It just depends whether or not you want to make a goalkeeper change in a big week like game week 14, or you want to focus on getting some of the big hitters in your team. But I do think he's a very good pick at 1.8. If you're enjoying the video so far, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you're not already. Or if you're listening on podcast platforms, please do give us a follow or a like on there as well. And you can check out the Dream Team Tonic podcast, which is live to everyone on YouTube and podcast platforms at the moment. And if you're interested in joining our Patreon Discord community for early access to the pods, live streams every weekend, and our Discord community, there'll be a link in the description below for that. So Manchester City up next. Like I said, they've got less fixtures, 6 fixtures between now and Boxing Day. They had the 1-1 with Liverpool and then a 3-2 win against Leipzig, which saw them go 2 goals behind but come back. And a really good performance from Phil Foden. It's 8 games unbeaten now since they lost to Arsenal. But they've only had 2 clean sheets in that run, so defensively they've not been the best. But Haaland, don't want to spend too much time on him. He's brilliant. Another 21 points this week, double figures in both games. I just can't get my head around the people that decide to run the risk of taking him out. It's just playing with fire every time, but people still do it. Big question, him or Salah captain this week. I don't think there's much in it, to be honest with you. I think I'm leaning towards Salah, but I mean, I'll still be terrified when I see City playing Spurs and Villa. Both of them play a high line, and Harden's on fire. So goal in both of these games, 10 points and 11 points. I think if you do go against him for the captaincy, again, playing with fire, but I think I'm still leaning towards Salah this week. 19 goals, 4 assists for Haaland. Phil Foden, 4.9. I've had him in my team for quite a while now, and he's just been absolutely brilliant. He will rise again this week in price. He got a goal and 2 assists in that Champions League game, scoring 17 points, getting 3 bonus and a shot on target. 2 big chances created also. And then 6 points even in that 1-1 against Liverpool. He got a bonus point. He got 3 shots on target. And that was it, 6 points in that game. So a really massive week for Phil Foden. 25 bonus points as well so far, makes him the 3rd highest scoring player for bonus behind Doku and James Ward-Prowse. So I think it looks really good. He's got double figures in 3 of his last 4 games as well, with 6 goals and 6 assists. So again, Foden, really good pairing to go with Haaland. Or you could go for Doku at 4.2, which is another player that's smashing the bonus system. He got the maximum bonus against Liverpool, just running rings around Trent, and 2 bonus points off the bench, which is even more impressive, I think. Came off the bench in the 54th minute and still managed to get 2 bonus points in that game. Does look good, but I think he's got a slight risk of rotation. Obviously, you've got Grealish back now as well. But again, another good option. I'd try and get to Foden if you could, but I think he's great. Defensively, like I said, they've only had 2 clean sheets in this run of 8 games since they've been unbeaten against playing Arsenal. Walker, 3.6 million, probably the best option to go for, just because of the price. I think 3.6 million. If he plays 2 out of the next 3, could be all right. Spurs, Villa, Luton. It's just, there will be rotation, you know that, with this Man City team. Probably in the Champions League game. That Luton double game week looks good. Game week 15, Luton and Red Star Belgrade. But will he play in that now that they're definitely through? I'm not so sure. He's fallen out of the top 10 defenders now, and he's 11th behind Zinchenko. So we do really want to get on these Man City players when they do start to go on a run of keeping clean sheets, and it doesn't look like it's going to be yet. Kanji at 4.5, also got 2 starts this week, but John Stones did make the bench, so he could eventually be a threat. But Akanji at the moment is doing that role of joining the midfield when Stones hasn't been available, and he's got 3 goals. So again, if you did really fancy these City defenders, I'd go for a Walker or a Akanji, but I'm just not feeling it myself. Liverpool and Arsenal for me. Newcastle, so 4-1 win against Chelsea, and then a 1-1 against PSG where they were unlucky. It was a horrible penalty to concede, to be honest, from Livramento. Shouldn't have been a penalty, in my opinion. But I was winding up a few of our Newcastle friends, just because I think they've had a few good decisions go their way, and now they've had a couple dodgy ones. So, yeah. 8 fixtures through to Christmas. So, Man United, Everton, Spurs, AC Milan, which is going to be a big clash in the Champions League, Fulham, Chelsea in the Carabao Cup, Luton, and then Forest at home. So I think this is a mixed bag, but there are some good games in there. I think Man United and Everton this week look good. Spurs away, their defence is still having a bit of trouble. I think AC Milan at home, that stadium's going to be rocking, and I do quite fancy them in that one. Fulham at home looks good. Luton away, it's tough-ish, but still looks good. And then Forest at home, so some really good home fixtures there. I do fancy some of these Newcastle players. So Isak, he's the one that's got my attention at the minute. I am really liking the look of him, but there are a lot of good options up top. 7 goals in his last 10 games, which is really impressive. 9 goals, 1 assist for the season. You've also got Wilson out, which means Isak gets penalties. And like I said, United have just conceded 3 goals. Everton have just conceded 3 goals. I think this looks like a really good week for Isak. 16 points last game week as well. A goal in each game. So should also get a rise. So keep your eye on Isak. Those that are playing part of the bus will be looking to move out their third striker. But if you're not playing the part of the bus, him and Darwin looking like good options. Gordon, 3.6 million. Goal and an assist, 12 points against Chelsea. He's been really, really impressive so far this season. And he's still at a decent price as well, 3.6. Should potentially get a rise. But 12 points in that Newcastle-Chelsea game. But then has that been wiped out by the 2 points at PSG? I've not been very good at predicting these price changes. But nonetheless, 3.6 million. Is a good price for him. 5 goals, 5 assists so far for the season. And I just think when it comes to value, you're probably not going to beat Anthony Gordon at 3.6. He's played the full 90 minutes in 4 out of his last 5 games as well. So not very much risk of rotation there. 3 attacking returns in that 5 games. So Gordon, 3.6. Still think he's a really good pick. Defensively, it's not been as good for Newcastle, although they were very close in that PSG game. And even though they did concede in that Chelsea game, there's some high scores there for Lascelles, who scored, Cher, and Livramento, who I'm going to mention here. So 2.7 million, very good price. 6 points with 3 bonus against Chelsea, and then 3 points against PSG, but lost 1 bonus point right at the end when he gave away that handball that sort of wasn't. But he looks like very good value at 2.7 million. And he carries some attacking threat as well. So I think he's a good pick if you're looking for someone on a budget. Kieran Trippier, I don't know how I feel about this. And I've got another instance of this coming up as well. But we're getting close to this period of time where there's a lot of players on 4 yellow cards. And Trippier is one of them. And then the worry is, in these Premier League double game weeks, Man United at home, Everton away. If he does pick up that yellow card against Man United, you will miss the Everton away game because you won't be able to transfer him out. So Trippier, this is a problem with, and Bruno Fernandes is one that is a problem with at the moment. I think I'd still keep him if I had him in my team normally, and I wasn't playing a booster, but if I was playing a booster, I would be concerned because you could end up missing out on the double points for one of these games. But he has been a great player. 10 points for the week, still the top scoring defender in the game, 7 assists, 24 bonus and 113 points, 9th overall as well. So the only defender in the top 10 players as well. So Trippier still a really, really good option, but I'd be a little concerned if I was going to play the part of the bus with him. I can't lie. And then last, I'm just going to go on to Bruno Guimaraes. 3.3 million, 13 points for the game week, and 24 bonus points in total. And I was very surprised that majority of his bonus points have been, or the points, player performance marks, which gets you the bonus, have come from him being the second most fouled player on Dream Team. So 48 fouls he's had against him in 19 games. I thought he'd probably be dishing out more fouls than what he's received, but isn't the case. Just 1 point behind Doku and James Ward-Prowse for these player performance marks. But at 3.3 million, I think I'd prefer someone a bit more exciting like Anthony Gordon. On to Man U, and I'm not going to spend too much time on them because I don't think it's the best time to target these Man U players. 4-1 loss against Chelsea. No, it wasn't a 4-1 loss against Chelsea. I've got the Newcastle scores up on there. It was the 3-3 against Galatasaray and the 3-0 win against Everton. They've got 7 fixtures this game week. So Newcastle away from home, which looks like it's going to be a very tough game. Chelsea at home. Again, Chelsea are looking okay. Bournemouth looks all right at home, but then it gets horrible. So Bayern at home in the Champions League, and that's a very, very big game for them. Liverpool away from home, West Ham away from home, and then Villa at home. I don't like the look of this fixture run at all for Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes at 5.7. He's been the bright spark this game week. So he is on 4 yellow cards, which is going to be a big risk for him, especially going to Newcastle away. That is a horrible ground to go to, and I can imagine Bruno Guimaraes and the rest of them trying to wind him up to get him that yellow card or get him sent off. He got 11 points against Galatasaray for his goal and assist. Did pick up a yellow card in that game. And then he got 6 points against Everton for the assist. And he could have even had more against Galatasaray. He had a really good strike that hit the post as well. So is looking like he's in good form. But again, you've got the same Trippier scenario where if you do keep hold of him, if he gets booked against Newcastle, he will miss the Chelsea game. Not so bad as with Trippier if you're playing part of the bus, but still a little bit worrying going into a double game week. 5 goals and 5 assists, though he's still looking good. 7th overall for points, and he's the 4th highest scoring midfielder. So for someone that I've not been fully convinced by it all season, he is starting to get a bit closer to what we want from him. It is just these yellow cards that are a little bit of a worry. I'm going to put Garnacho in here at 2.4, but this is more just highlighting that he's had a good week rather than saying to target him. So 2 goals in his last 2 games. He had the ridiculous bicycle kick against Everton, probably goal of the season. 3 goals, 1 assist in total. I wouldn't pick him, but I just think it's worth highlighting him because he has looked good. And if you are looking for someone at a very cheap price point, maybe you could go for him, but yeah, not for me. Rashford was missing for Galatasaray game, so made him more likely to play. And we've had Anthony also come back for that Champions League game, so I don't think it's guaranteed. I just wanted to highlight him because his goals were so good and he's having a bit of good time. Defensively, though, I'm not feeling it. So you might get away with having 1 defender. I wouldn't be looking to bring any in. You had Luke Shaw got an assist, Wan-Bissaka got an assist, and Dalot got an assist this week. So they are getting attacking returns. But just Newcastle away, I can't see a clean sheet. Chelsea at home, probably not. Bournemouth maybe. But Bayern, Liverpool, I don't see it. And then West Ham, Villa, I don't really see it either. So defence, I'm not feeling it, but I don't think it's a massive problem if you have got one of them in your team at the minute. West Ham, again, 8 fixtures all the way through till Christmas, so packed schedule for them. Decent fixture run. Bowen, I really want to have him back in my team, but again, I don't think I can do it this week. Didn't play in the Premier League. Wasn't in the squad either for the Europa. He still could be available for next week, but I just don't think it's worth taking a chance unless we hear anything concrete. Their game is on Sunday, so we're not likely to get any leaks before the deadline either. So I would pass on Bowen for the moment. But it's unfortunate because he has been so good. And he could end up playing, but I just don't think it's worth the risk. James Ward-Prowse, 4.4 million. It's been a fairly quiet week for him. But still, even in the quiet weeks, while some players just get the 2 points or the blanks, he still gets a 4-pointer and a 3-pointer, which is not great, but it does add up. He doesn't seem to ever fully blank. He's got, I think he's got a bonus point in each of these 2 games, so he still does chip away a little bit, even when he doesn't do so well. 2 goals, 9 assists, and the most bonus points in the game. So still a good option, James Ward-Prowse. Paqueta also is doing pretty well, 4.1 million, got 10 points this week, and he's fairly similar. He racked up the points this week for tackles. He does have potential for penalties, and he's crossed the 100-point mark, so still a good option at 4.1, but I still think I'd favour the attacking player like an Anthony Gordon, for example, at 3.6. I think he looks better value, but 7th highest midfielder in the game, 5 goals and 1 assist. And then Kudus, 4.2 million, got 2 assists against Burnley. He's looked really exciting, but he was left out of the Europa League squad with illness/fever. So again, like Bowen, I don't think it's worth chancing. There's so many good midfielders to go for. I probably would replace him anyway if I had him. And then lastly, Soucek. I'm going to draw attention to him. I don't think he's someone that I would choose, but 5 goals in 5 games for club and country, 6 goals and 1 assist so far for West Ham. He is having a good season, back-to-back goals in this game week. On to Villa. So their fixtures start to turn a bit tougher. 7 fixtures: Bournemouth, City, Arsenal, Zrinski Mode-Star, Brentford away, Sheffield United at home, and Man United away. They've only lost 1 game out of their last 10. I think that probably will change with City and Arsenal coming up. Hopefully Arsenal will be the ones to beat them. But they are unbeaten at home in the league, and the 2 home games that are tough coming up are City and Arsenal. So not going to be easy games at all for City or Arsenal. Ollie Watkins is the only one that I'm going to really mention, and it's not really to target anymore. So 4.8 million, I would have said to target him all day. He's been in my team. He's been brilliant. I've been really happy with him. But he was left out of the Europa League conference squad. The quote was, good evening. He had yesterday small pain, not very strong. We decided as well to rest him. So he just picked up a little knock-in injury. But it's just, are we going to hear anything before the deadline? And with this many good options and it being a double game week, personally, I don't think I'm good. Although I think he probably does play, I don't want to run the risk of having my striker potentially missing games in a double game week when there's people out there playing part of the bus and dropping their third striker. I want my third striker to be my advantage this week. And if there's a chance that he's not going to play, I think I'm going to move him on. But he has got 115 points. He's the 4th highest scoring striker, with Haaland, Salah and Alvarez, the ones that are ahead of him. He's got 9 goals and 8 assists, 3 goals in his last 3 games. So he has been brilliant. I would have been keeping him otherwise, but I think we've got to keep an eye out and see if we get any news. But again, a Sunday game, we're probably not going to get any leaks. Defence, I don't think it's a big issue if you've got one. But a lot of us went hard on this Villa defence, Matty Cash has had a bit of trouble recently. Poor game against Spurs. He's on 4 yellow cards. Digne's on 4 yellow cards also. It's not looking great. Cash did get 4 points in midweek, but he finished up with, I can't even see him in the other game, a blank, 0 points for a yellow card and off in the 45th minute against Spurs. So not great for Matty Cash. And with City and Arsenal on the horizon, I think I probably would be looking to move out all of them if I could. Oh, last thing to mention on their defence as well. A lot of conceding just the odd 1 goal. but they've not kept a clean sheet now. Their last clean sheet was 10 matches ago, so very disappointing for their defence. Chelsea, they've got Brighton, Man United, Everton, and then it gets a bit better with Sheffield United, Newcastle, Wolves and Crystal Palace. 7 fixtures, no Europe, but they're playing some poor defences. So Brighton, although a tough game, their defence has been poor. United's defence has been poor. Everton have just conceded 3 goals. You've got Sheffield United there, so I do think there's a good chance to target some of these attacking players from Chelsea. Palmer at 3.2, current penalty taker, and Nkunku could be back, so he could end up taking penalties back, but for now it's Palmer. I think he should do well in this fixture run. 4 goals and 5 assists so far. Sterling at 3.9 has got 96 points and he's Chelsea's highest scorer with 6 goals and 4 assists. Got a lovely free kick against Newcastle, but again he's on 4 yellows in the league, so something to watch out for. And then defensively, or in goal, Sanchez at 2.7. I think he could be the jump off from Johnston, or if you do go to Kelleher, he could be your escape plan once Alisson comes back. Maybe from 16, where he's got Sheffield United, Newcastle, Wolves and Crystal Palace. Right, now on to my team update, and it's been another really good week. Can't quite believe what's going on. So 170 points for the game week, 1,486 points overall, and I think I've dropped down from about 40 or 50th in the last video, and now I am 20th in the overall leaderboard, which is pretty mad. Johnston got me the 1 point. Tsimikas got me 10 for his clean sheet yesterday. Saliba back-to-back clean sheets, 16 points, and Zinchenko got me 10 points. A bit gutted that he did go off at half-time and didn't get the clean sheet points in the second game, but I did say when I brought him in, there's a chance he gets rotated and starts just the 1 game. So he got 2 starts, but he just didn't get the 60 minutes to get the clean sheet. Martinelli got me 12 points. Happy with that transfer in. Saka with 17 has been brilliant. Bruno Fernandes with 17. Again, a really good game week. I just wish he didn't have that 4 yellows hanging over him. Phil Foden, 23 points. He's been incredible. Someone that I'm going to be keeping in my team. Ollie Watkins with 7 points. Just frustrating about this new injury concern that's come up. Salah with 15 points. And then Erling Haaland with 42 points. He was my captain this week. I think the only way I could have outscored that is if I went with Phil Foden, which I wasn't planning to do. So can't really talk about that. But main concerns for game week 14. So Bruno Fernandes being on 4 yellow cards. I feel like he's going to get that yellow against Newcastle. He might not, but that is my biggest concern about having him at the minute. And then the main thing I'm looking at is how can I defend against the part of the bus. Obviously, you can't fairly defend against it because they're going to get double points. But how can I cover myself for the worst case scenario that Liverpool keep clean sheets and Arsenal keep 2 clean sheets? That is what I'm starting to consider. So I've got the 2 Arsenal in place. Could I get a second Liverpool player in there? Maybe a defender with Virgil van Dijk. I don't think I'll spend out on Trent. Or could I improve my keeper from Johnston to Kelleher? I think that looks like a good option as well. Around a similar price point, and Kelleher's just kept a clean sheet in the Europa, so he should get a price rise. I do like the idea of that as well. That would give me 2 Liverpool and 2 Arsenal at the back. But I also would like to really go all out attack in a week where a lot of people will be looking at their defence. And for the same reason that Liverpool and Arsenal are really good fixtures for defence, I think they're really good fixtures for attacking as well. So I've got Martinelli and Saka in place. I've got just Salah in the attack. I would be very interested in Darwin Núñez. He looks a good pick. And I'm also interested in Diaz. Diaz would also be a really good pick if I did want to move Bruno on. Or if I moved Watkins on, Darwin could be an option there. I really do want to try and attack this game week. So current priorities are probably trying to get another Liverpool attacker in there, as I already do have the Arsenal double defence, and maybe trying to cover a defender from Liverpool so that if worst does happen, I do still get the clean sheet points potentially. Overall, I'm leaning towards Salah as my captain for that game week. I just think the fixtures are a bit better on paper, but I wouldn't be surprised if Haaland does still do really, really well. But yeah, main fires, I'm looking at Watkins, Bruno, and then what do I do if I want to get an extra Liverpool in that back line? So 2 transfers to do that. I'm still not sure what moves I'll be making, to be honest. I'm still tinkering with it. But overall, I think I am still expecting a rank drop. So overall leaderboard 20. That's the best position I've ever been in Dream Team or any fantasy football game. I don't expect that it's gonna stay there with this booster being played, because obviously I've played my part of the bus chip already. Got about 62 points just from the booster. So it went well for me, but it does have potential to go well this week, and I think we will have quite a few players overtake me this week. A bit of news for this week. I'm not going to be revealing my team pre-deadline this week. So at the moment, I'm 58 points off of first place. I don't expect to increase this week with it being a popular booster this week. But it has been brought to my attention that there may be up to 13 teams that have an identical team as mine and have been making pretty much the same moves since the start of the season. I've had a few people in the comments letting me know, and a few people that have sent me messages on Twitter and stuff to let me know. And actually, it is a good point that now I am right up there challenging. It's probably not a good idea to have a ton of teams with the exact same team as mine. I never considered that it would even be a problem from the start of the season, because I've never had an overall rank anywhere near this. So I'm going to post my team after the deadline this game week. I hope you all understand that maybe it's getting a little bit competitive now. I'm up to 20th, but yeah, it probably won't end up being a problem by the end of the season. I don't think it's going to carry on. My best ranks ever have been 350 and I think 465. Never really up there competing, but I think it makes sense at the minute just to reveal my team after the deadline for this game week. Hopefully everyone's teams will become a little bit different, and then we'll see how we go after that. If I do dramatically fall off after this part of the bus week, and later in the season I do drop off even further, I don't think it'll be too much of a problem when the teams aren't identical. But we are 13 or 14 game weeks in, and apparently there's quite a few identical teams that have made the same transfers as me. So this game week, I'm going to reveal my team after the deadline. It still will be up on YouTube Shorts, Twitter, TikTok, and all the rest. I'll post it on there. But hopefully there's been enough in this episode that will help you with your teams without having a look at mine. So nothing personal, but I think it makes sense to keep mine till after the deadline this game week. So all the best for game week 14. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you're looking for a bit more Dream Team content, do head over to the Dream Team Tonic podcast. Mine and Ben's episode is up now, available for everyone on YouTube and podcast platforms. So thank you very much. Good luck in game week 14, and I'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye.